In 2016, audiences were introduced to Swiss Army Man, a quirky movie with a truly strange premise of a shipwrecked man befriending a flatulent corpse with magical abilities and learning to overcome long-held anxieties and mental scars left from his childhood through their friendship. The movie is the feature-length directorial debut of the writing and directing duo of Daniel Scheinert and Daniel Kwan, known simply in their credits as Daniels, before they would go on to win Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Original Screenplay Oscars for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Coming from a background of writing and directing music videos, the pair bring a unique flair of passion to their projects that really makes Swiss Army Man stand out from the crowd, along with the fact that they seem to naturally gravitate toward weird, yet emotionally resonant subject matters, like a man making friends with a fart-propelled, projectile-firing, water-storing corpse. The movie also boasts beautiful set dressing, with a lot of keen detail given to the Castaway-style structures that the leading pair of Hank and Manny create, as well as a lot of practical effects that give the movie a grounded feel that many modern movies miss out on with an over-reliance on CGI. But the aspect of this film that stayed with me the most was the captivating musical score. After working for years in the music industry and directing the music video for Manchester Orchestra's song Simple Math, the Daniels reached out to band members Andy Hull and Robert McDowell to score the film. What the group was able to collaboratively create is absolutely breathtaking and serves as a further storytelling device, particularly with their use of instruments, or lack thereof. Opting to add to the isolated and stranded emotion of Hank, Hull and McDowell use complex mixing of their voices, the actors singing, and a secret weapon that acts to ground the audio deep within the storytelling on the screen before us: diegetic sound. In film and television, the sounds that you hear will normally fall within one of two categories: diegetic and non-diegetic. While the actual recording and source of sound will vary greatly, the sound that emanates from the world that you see on screen is what's called diegetic sound. This includes things like a character's footsteps,
brunette, and she is wearing high heels, perhaps a bit too formal for the afternoon. And she has on Chanel number 5.
a car starting, or the sound of paper sliding into a filing cabinet.
The sound the paper made against the folder had the same tone as a wave scraping against sand. And when Harold thought about it, he listened to enough waves every day to constitute what he imagined to be a deep and endless ocean.
Did you hear that?
Non-diegetic sound is the sound that could be classified as what we, the audience, hear, but the characters within the movie do not. This could range from things like over-the-top sound effects added for comedic or tense effects, to things like the film's soundtrack.
Are they, how strong are they?
Steve wrong.
Occasionally, we can also get something known as transdiegetic sound, which is an effect or a sound that will either start as diegetic in the film and then expand out further to become non-diegetic, or vice versa. How this is most commonly used is in the soundtrack for the film, when a song starts out coming from an on-screen source and then expands out until it becomes non-diegetic, or it starts out as non-diegetic and then it ends up coming from a previously unseen source within a scene. While the average viewer may not be able to put a name to this audio phenomenon, it is a well enough understood rule that some films use the viewer's preconceived notions as a misdirect, or to get a laugh by playing with the scene's audio sources.
Me, I think Dr. Ashley was a victim of foul play.
Right from the beginning, when we are first introduced to Hank on the beach, we hear him humming what becomes the central theme to the movie. A song that we later learn Hank's mom would sing to him, but he can't remember the words anymore. When Hank sees Manny's body begin to propel itself forward from its own farts, he steps down from the brink of hanging himself and begins to accept the strange reality before him, which is also symbolically the moment that we as the audience need to begin accepting the absurdist premise of the film. It is at this moment you first hear diegetic sound being adopted into the soundtrack. This comes in the form of Hank mumbling to himself, and the sound begins melodically repeating and layering upon itself as he keeps adding in new sounds, all of which add to his initial humming of his mother's song. Almost poetically, the song becomes more intense as we see Hank scheming his escape from the island with Manny's help, and he decides not to question the gift that he's been given. After an initial escape, he looks back on the island, and we get another quiet moment as Hank seemingly questions the reality he's experiencing. He looks down on the farting corpse he's riding to freedom, with the same disbelief that we as the audience are feeling in that moment. But again, he rejects doubt and begins steering Manny with his tie and controlling the propulsion. All to the music swelling, with his mother's song being belted out as Hank cheers. This moment not only serves as a litmus test for the viewer as they embark on the strange journey that is the movie Swiss Army Man, but also introduces the idea of diegetic sound being pulled from the environment to be layered to create the soundtrack. Starting with the song being hummed and different melodic tones being spoken, the audience is eased into this kind of musical concept, a smart and inventive way to establish a premise early on. As the movie progresses along with Hank and Manny's journey to get home, the concept of a diegetic soundtrack becomes further ingrained until we arrive at what I consider the magnum opus of the soundtrack, montage. As the name implies, the song plays over a montage of Hank and Manny building their own little world in the woods, as Hank discovers more of Manny's abilities, and both of their quality of life improves drastically, as we see them hunting, eating, watching homemade movies, and traveling.
Manny, help me get home.
It all starts off with these two clapping and saying the word popcorn as they cook a bag they found in the woods. These two sounds serve as the foundation of the song as they progress through the flashes of the montage. The song continues to build from the diegetic sounds in the environment until eventually there are actual words being sung that aren't just harmonizing tones. But even the words stay true to the premise of the soundtrack, because if you pay attention to what's being said, you quickly realize that the words are merely describing what we see on screen, said from the first-person point of view. This is not only the most complex arrangement we have heard so far in the soundtrack, filled with non-stop diegetic sound layering, but it's the most we have seen our leading duo connect to one another, as Hank lets his guard down and fully embraces his friendship with Manny the Corpse. This beautiful song, composed of layer after layer of diegetic sounds from their adventures, is a symbolic expression of their friendship and the breaking down of societal walls that separate us all. The film goes on to further explore these ideas and emotions before the end, but in this one montage, we get the most pure reflection of their relationship together, and the accompanying song works perfectly to highlight the magic of this scene by using different audio pieces from their journey to create the score. In the film Swiss Army Man, we are treated to a beautifully weird story that will make you laugh at the pure absurdity of the premise. But it's that disarming humor that gives the movie's true themes and ideas of overcoming societal taboos and shame to secretly make its way into your mind and give you true personal introspection. This kind of subtle storytelling is only made better by the unique and compelling diegetic soundtrack. Andy Hull and Robert McDowell are both gifted and talented musicians, whose creativity is on full display in the soundtrack. Building and crafting songs purely from voice tracks and diegetic soundscapes helps to further isolate the duo of Hank and Manny, which is perfectly juxtaposed by instruments being added in at the end of the film as they get back to society and see other people. It's such an accomplishment that in an interview with Entertainment Weekly when discussing the Academy Award nominations, Daniel Radcliffe said, "Do you want to know what I honestly think should be nominated? The soundtrack and the songwriting from the band. Andy and Rob from the band Manchester Orchestra. Obviously, I'm totally biased, but I really think that when people hear the montage song that we sing in the movie, I don't feel that there's going to be a better original song all year than the one those guys wrote." And listening to the complex layering and mixing in the songs, it's easy to see what he was talking about. This kind of subtle attention to detail is what makes Swiss Army Man a triumph, and makes rewatches just as satisfying as the first viewing. In an age where superhero CGI spectacles and larger-than-life movies with budgets in the hundreds of millions, it's refreshing to see a film that not only embraces the stranger aspects of life, but does so in a manner that is focused on telling a compelling story with the best use of practical effects. So what did you think of Swiss Army Man? Did the story capture your heart? Or was the idea of a farting corpse too much from the start? Let us know in the comments below. We hope you like this dive into the storytelling of the soundtrack from Swiss Army Man. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel. This has been Cursory Analysis. Thank you.